In this video, we are answering your iCave answers. Any Apple questions that you've got, leave them down in the comments with hashtag iCave answers, and we'll get to them in a future video. Want the latest Apple news, leaks and rumours? Subscribe and ring the bell. First of all, Marcin Kowalczyk asks, iCave answers weighing in. Is Studio Display much heavier than the iMac? Asking in terms of VESA mounting, and would it require a beefier arm or mount to be required for the Studio Display rather than one fine for the iMac? There's not a huge amount of difference in weight actually. So the Studio Display weighs in at 5.5 kilograms. That's the version with the VESA mount. I think it's somewhere into the 6s if you've got the regular stand. And the iMac is 4.8 kilograms. Although that appears to include the stand, I can't actually find a weight for it without. So we're probably talking around about the 4 kilogram mark, going to 5.5. It's not a massive difference in weight, and I think pretty much the majority of VESA mount arms do give quite a bit of range in terms of these. I mean, I actually had this 4K 40-inch TV sitting on a VESA arm for a little while, mounted off the desk. I've actually gone back to just having it on the desk as moving it around and angles and stuff started to get annoying to me. I don't know why, having played with them, people are as obsessed with VESA mount arms as they are, but, you know, each to their own. Nice, clean setups, but I think mine looks absolutely fine, and I still love having my G4 Cube sitting at the back there as a stand for the Mac Mini. But yes, you should be absolutely fine going for pretty much any of the VESA arms that you would have used for the iMac for the Mac Studio Display. Seems like they're not a massive difference in weight. Marcin Kowalczyk also asks, iCave answers grammar. Why do you keep using we pronoun rather than I when talking about the channel? Disclaimer, not criticising, just curious. Part of the reason is that I think of it as we as the community here on iCave, Dave. There's an element of talking about the channel as a we because I'm thinking of it as a company, although it's not. Just to kind of talk about the channel in general, I would say we, and if I'm talking about me personally, I would say I. But yeah, it's more about when I talk about what we think is coming, I'm talking, I think, more on behalf of the community and the audience, and sometimes all sort of the tech creator community, like the consensus of opinions. So I think that's really where it's coming from. It's not specifically that I'm talking about myself like the Queen. And Marcin also asks, iCave answers, do you think any iPhones might get dropped from the iOS16 support at all, or are we on the 6S train for a while longer? So yes, we've got our invitations for WWDC this year. June the 6th is the WWDC date. It's very exciting, and that is when we will see updates to Apple's new platforms, so iOS, iPadOS, macOS, watchOS, tvOS, and maybe Reality OS. But to your question, I think the iPhone 6S surely should be at the end of its life at this point. That would also be the oldest of the iPhone SEs that won't get updates any longer. I mean, Apple potentially could, but I don't think there's any real need to at this stage. I think they've had plenty of support. I think the iPhone 7 may also get dropped. It may be that we go to iPhone 10 and iPhone 8 generation in terms of the chips inside. I don't think that would be upsetting for too many people, and there's enough value options now in Apple's range, along with sort of used iPhones, that I think it's a reasonable thing to drop maybe the 6S and the 7 at this point. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Who is still using an iPhone 6S in the comments here? Who's still using an iPhone 7 or a 7 Plus? Let me know. But I don't think it would be too much of an issue for Apple to start to move on from some of these very older models. They don't get a huge amount of the new features anyway at this point. I do think it's great that Apple keeps these devices alive and keeps them up to date with security updates so that you can still safely use them. However, they do tend to miss out on some of the feature updates because the processors inside simply aren't up to speed to actually keep them going. However, once you get to the iPhone 10, the iPhone 8, those processors are still pretty good. I think they were using the 11 from memory, and that's still a fine processor that still is responsive, and it's got the vast majority of what you would need. Already supports Face ID, etc. So I think that is probably about where I would put the cutoff, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. Evan Rodgers asks, iCave answers for All Mankind Season 3 has been announced for June the 10th. Have you seen the first 2 seasons? Short review. I have certainly seen the whole of the first season. I've watched a lot of the second season, but not all the way through. time is my biggest issue here. I love For All Mankind. I am a huge space nerd. I watch as many live space launches as I can, as many of the SpaceX tests as I can, and I think that it's a really interesting concept to have this kind of alternate future. It also ties back to things like Red Alert, the Command & Conquer games that I used to play when that was the alternate future thing as well, when, you know, Einstein creates a time machine and goes back and kills Hitler. This video is totally being demonetized. I've mentioned Hitler and time travel and killing babies. But you know where I'm coming from. I really like this kind of alternate future thing. What if the Russians landed on the moon first? I think it kind of takes on a little bit of a different feel now when we're talking about Russia and the Cold War and stuff, with everything that's going on in Ukraine, which unbelievably is still going on, and the rest of the world is not really doing enough about. But I think it's going to be really interesting. The third season looks like it's going to be based on going to Mars in the 90s possibly, which just also seems bonkers that we're now probably looking at the 2030s, certainly before we take humans to Mars. But I actually think we're on track to actually do it now, and, you know, back to the moon this decade. It's an exciting time in space. I know this isn't really the review that you were probably looking for, but I would definitely say For All Mankind, one of the best things on Apple TV+. But honestly, everything from what I'm hearing about Apple TV+ is that the shows are all great. I've watched Defending Jacob. We thought that was tremendous. Watched Schmigadoon. Really enjoyed that. We've watched all of The Morning Show. The Morning Show has been fabulous. I need to watch Severance, I need to watch Coda, I need to watch a lot of the other stuff, but leave me your recommendations down in the comments section. Still never even watched Ted Lasso, which everyone seems to think is great, but I don't care about football, so, you know, whether I'll enjoy that or not is a difficult one. But leave me your Apple TV suggestions down in the comments, and if you want, I could do some, like, first episode reviews of some stuff, to give you an idea of my thoughts on stuff. Let me know if that would be something you're interested in. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks to the Patreons over here. If you've got a question for a future iCave Answers, leave it down in the comment section, and we'll get back to you in the next few videos.